There's the quote yesterday that got everybody excited.
Whoa.
Jerry Jones, he knows how to be interesting. And there's nothing more interesting than dropping a bomb like this. Trades that could happen. We're looking at two things that could occur before or after the draft. Two pretty substantive trades been working on today. The comments were off camera. See, what he'll do is he'll have his official press conference, and then he'll go over to the side, and he'll say a lot more stuff that he wasn't prepared to say when it was on camera. But it's still on the record, so it doesn't matter. So, look, that has sparked plenty of speculation about who they may trade for. I know there's some chatter in Pittsburgh that maybe George Pickens is going to be heading to Dallas. I had somebody say to me yesterday, he's talking about Tyreek Hill. I ran that down. I don't think that's the case. I also know that before June 1, a Tyreek Hill trade would wreak havoc on the Miami Dolphins salary cap. And he had wrist surgery in the offseason. I don't know that you want to go sight on scene with Tyreek Hill unless you're sure he's healthy.
Right.
But that's what happens when you drop that pebble in the water and the Brownian motion, the waves start to go. You never know where the waves are going to go. So now the game is to figure out who the hell he's talking about.
Yeah, I know. I have no clue. No clue. I heard the George Pickens stuff, too. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, we talked about draft needs for the Dallas Cowboys the other day. The biggest thing is offensive playmakers. You know, they need someone other than CeeDee Lamb. He can't do everything. They can't formulate every play around CeeDee Lamb. That's not going to work against the good defenses in football. So they got to improve that area. But, yeah, I don't know what that means. I don't know. And again, with Jerry, he says a lot, too, so you just don't know how much of that holds water or if it's just talk or, you know, like you're talking about, just adding a little flair and pizzazz to the Dallas Cowboys names. When I first heard it and saw the quote, though, like, I thought of Micah Parsons first. That's what I was like, what? Like, are they, like, dangling Micah Parsons out there? That can't be. But we'll see what happens. But I don't expect it to be Micah Parsons. It's just where my brain went there on that one.
Hey, that has been lingering for a while. Remember when Jerry Jones at the Scouting Combine canceled his annual, hey, come see my bus and let's drink some whiskey thing with the media? I don't care how many times I try to do Jerry Jones. I'm never going to get there.
That was pretty good, though. That wasn't bad.
But people were thinking that they didn't want him talking because he was going to give up whatever it was they were talking about by way of a potential Micah Parsons trade. And I had heard draft week, and you hear all sorts of shit, but I had heard they had made a phone call to the Tennessee Titans about number one. So, you know, who knows what the Cowboys would do at this point. Now, they're trying to create the vibe there in the process of getting a deal done with Micah Parsons, but the two Joneses are in conflict over how close they are. We're going to talk about that in a second. But Jerry knows what he's doing. And it might be a bright, shiny object to distract from the fact that they really haven't done that much in free agency, or maybe they're not going to come out of the draft with a sexy name. But, hey, we got a couple of trades we're working on that are going to happen before or after the draft, so stay tuned. You may not be all that excited about the guys we pick because we got to replenish our offensive line, and who cares about offensive linemen when they're drafted? We know you want bright, shiny objects, so we'll give them to you in the form of a trade that may or may not happen before or after the draft. But the way he couched that, Chris, he's talking, in my view, about a player currently with another team.
It seems like
it's going to happen before or after the draft.
Right.
It's not about moving around on the board. This is about going out and getting someone from another team.
It did seem like that. You're right. And I'll be interested to see what they do at 12. Again, I mean, if there is a Tetaroa McMillan there, would they take him? I know teams have, people have linked the receiver there. I put Omarion Hampton, the running back from North Carolina, on the Dallas Cowboys. But very realistic in what we've talked about before, that O-line is what's going to be in fat here in the first round of the NFL draft. O-line and D-line. And they're going to be sitting there at pick number 12 with, I would think, other than maybe the top 2 or 3 guys, the next guy available there that certainly could help that offensive line, like you said, that's got some holes in it and got to replace some people here. So be interesting to see what they do. But, yeah, I think when I had to finally dive into it, I sat down and read the quote, yeah, I'm with you. And the fact that it seems like somebody off the team, somebody they're going to acquire from somewhere else and see where that goes, and we'll see what happens with the Cowboys here.
The last big move they made was Amari Cooper, the trade with the Raiders right before the trade deadline in 2018. They gave up their 2019 first-round pick to get him. So before or after the draft, like, what would you give up? I don't know. I don't know, and that's what Jerry wants us to do. Not know and spend our time talking about what he's talking about, because as we talk about those things, we're ultimately talking about
that's what
Cowboys.
I'm interested.
That's the goal.
Yeah, right.
Mission accomplished.
Well, and like you brought up before, like with the Giants and the Browns, I mean, the Cowboys, there's holes on their football team. And in a draft where I'm just interested, and especially if a trade happens before the draft, yes, that's going to entail picks from this year's draft. And they're a team that I feel like is sitting pretty at pick, 44 in the second round, and in another good spot in the third round. And we just talked about, and you're hearing from people, and we've had coaches make comments about all the good players there to be had to fill out your team. And they'd have a chance to really bolster their football team with those picks. So I'm going to be, intrigued to see whether they trade them away for a proven commodity in the NFL, or like you say, have these picks here so they can take a few cuts and swings here, and hopefully they can get those top 3 picks to work for their football team. They've drafted well. That's where they have been good, as we've talked about. It's been one of the strengths. So I'm a little bit like, you don't want to trade draft picks away. That's the one thing you've been good at there in Dallas. You sure you want to do that? That's at least what crosses my mind.
One last wrinkle. To the extent that he says the trade could happen before or after the draft, I've already mentioned that would mean they're not moving around the board. It's some player out there. But also, if it could happen after the draft, well, if I'm a team that has a guy that might be traded, I'd prefer to get picks this year.
Right.
So I don't know. Is it player for player? Could that be it? I don't know, like, who you would swap. If Mike is in play at all, and I have no reason to think he is other than the fact that he hasn't signed his contract yet, but who would you even trade him for? Like that, I don't know that makes a lot of sense. I'm just trying to understand, and that's what Jerry wants us doing. He wants us spending time in advance of a draft where we've been talking about everyone but the Cowboys to try to figure out what the hell the Cowboys are doing and who they might be trading for before or after the draft, and what they might be giving up to get whoever they're trading for before or after the draft. Now, Micah Parsons, and this is getting interesting, and maybe they did it all on purpose. Maybe this is just part of the reality show that is the real-life version of the old soap opera Dallas. The only question is going to be who shot JJ when it's all said and done. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.